Thanks everyone for giving me the opportunity to talk about Power Pages. And I think if you were here last month, I kind of snuck in a presentation about Power Apps portals. And the whole idea for this was to, I wish we could have been able to talk about Power Pages last month, but we didn't get to do that. So I started talking about Power Apps portals last month so that we could actually see the difference today between Power Pages and Power Apps portals, which is probably the number one question everyone's asking is what's the difference between the two. So we'll definitely talk about this. But one thing that I wanted to say is that this is really intended to be the Power Pages design series. It's not going to be just one presentation. I really plan on going deep down and showing you real life usage of the Power Pages. So it's kind of like the Power Pages cinematic universe where every presentation is going to be connected to the other. Maybe I'll need to get some after credits in my presentations as well. So we already did the introduction to Power Apps portals, and if you remember, last month I was able to do some cool stuff. I was able to start showing some data and things like that. But there's a few things where it was kind of like walking around it, like, oh, I can't change the color of this text, or I can't change this, or I can't change that. And that's definitely something that we'll see with Power Pages that we're able to do. But over the next little while, what we'll be doing is, today I'm going to show you an introduction to Power Pages itself, and then we'll talk about doing your own branding so you're not stuck to use the branding that's available out of the box or even the designs that are available out of the box. Those are just templates for you. And, you're able to actually bring in any look and feel that you want to have. You can find some awesome templates out there and build them into Power Pages. The other thing that you can do is you can secure your content. And so that we can use authentication, we can make sure that there's some stuff that people only see their own information, or maybe their own organization's information, or maybe there's some content that's intended for everyone to see. And then we'll actually talk about connecting to your data in a future session. And we'll talk about adding code components. So a lot of you might say, I'm not a coder. I don't know JavaScript, HTML, CSS. That's fine because the Power Platform, has this rich ecosystem of code components or PCF controls. You'll actually be able to use your PCF controls, your code components, into Power Pages to do some really cool stuff. And I'm planning on showing some really cool things that we can do with that. Finally, we'll do, and this is just kind of, this is like the first phase of the Power Pages cinematic universe, but we'll talk about designing for mobile apps because you can actually build mobile apps that are for the public or for your partners and customers, and we'll show you how to do that. All right, so today, to help understand the difference between Power Pages and Power Apps portals, we should probably talk about the family. As of maybe a little over a month ago, just before build, we had kind of these four components: Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. And with Power Apps, you could build some amazing applications that, but if we look at kind of how that worked, you can only really build applications for internal apps for your employees using Canvas apps and model apps. And then you could share with guests your apps, or you could use something called Power Apps portals to really create external websites for your citizens and your customers. We'll talk about some real examples very shortly, but the problem with Power Apps portals, while it is a super powerful product, it did require you to go in and learn about things like Liquid and CSS and HTML to really truly get the features that you were trying to do. And this is where Power Pages comes in, is that it does allow you to really have that low-code experience to be able to build some awesome sites. So let's put Power Pages where it belongs, right in the family, right there. Woohoo! All right, so this is the slide that I'm legally obligated to show in my presentation. So Power Pages is an enterprise-grade low-code software as a service platform within the Power Platform for creating and hosting rich data-first websites at scale. So, but really, what makes Power Pages unique? The difference between Power Apps portals and Power Pages is it is really intended to be like a low-code, innovative experience, but it is also robust and scalable and an enterprise grade because it is built on Power Apps portals. You can also have kind of that advanced web experience for DevOps and application lifecycle management because we're not taking away the power of HTML and CSS and JavaScript. In fact, one of the things that I have been saying a lot is, with the majority of the Power Platform, once you've reached the boundaries of what Power Platform can do, you're kind of stuck within what Power Platform can do. But with Power Pages, as soon as you get to the limits of what it can do, you've just opened a whole new horizon, a whole new world, because now you can actually crack open the CSS, JavaScript, HTML. You can actually, if you're a maker, you can partner with, a pro dev, and you can actually build something awesome. And then my favorite aspect of it is authentication, authorization, and data layer. So it's built in to Power Pages, the ability to get access to your Dataverse data without having to do extra work. And that to me is beautiful. I'm thinking of some customers, for example, one of the large government organizations in my province, where they have forms for every single thing. Every single thing that you want to do in that government, they have a PDF document that you can download, you can print, you can fill, and then you can upload again. And then they have to have someone probably take that information and retranscribe it, copy and paste it, or do things like that. Now imagine if I could take that PDF form and I could turn it into a model-driven application in Dataverse, and then expose that model-driven form into a Power Page and allow people to actually submit data. But then that data is actually going directly in Dataverse. It's not retranscribed, it's not copied and pasted, and it can be made secure. And imagine if I could actually allow every constituent, every citizen to have their own account that they log in to Power Pages, and they can see only their information. And then take that to large, retailers who maybe want to work with their partners and vendors and suppliers to be able to kind of create that rich experience. And so one of the things that I usually stay away from talking about licensing, but one of the things that we hear all the time is people saying, well, yeah, but isn't that going to be expensive? And again, we'll talk in future sessions about you'll see that it's actually not that expensive when you look at the things that you're able to take away from having to pay separately, and that you're able to actually put that into the hands of your partners and constituents and stuff like that. All right. Now, a lot of you might be asking, well, how do I get started? It's funny because I have a slide for that. So if you sign up now, you can actually try a free trial, right? So you can go to powerpages.microsoft.com, and I'll be doing just that today. So I'll show you the experience and everything. And don't worry, I'm going to show you all the steps to make this happen so you can play the version of this presentation at home after I'm done here. All right, so and the QR code will be posted a bit later in the chat. But the first thing we want to do here is we want to go to that URL that I give you. And then when you get there, it'll give you Power Pages for free for 30 days. You just need to put your email address. Now, it needs to be a Microsoft 365 email address. And then you get this. This is not a blank page, by the way. This is a picture of snow. We're be very artsy here. But when you get there, you say, okay, welcome to Power Pages. Your name is probably not going to be System. That's my name in this presentation. And then all you get to do is you have to just say, get started. So if I click on that, let me find my mouse. Thank you. We get to create a site. And then you have kind of it's asking you, hey, have you created the site? Yes or no? It doesn't really matter really what you do here. This is just for kind of statistics. And then you see there's a whole bunch of templates that are available. And, we're starting with a few templates that are already available for you to use. We will have some templates that will be activated a little soon, so you see how coming soon. So we're teasing you here with the types of templates, but we're going beyond what you used to have with Power Apps portals, where you have some cool templates. Now I'll pick any template here, and you'll see that we have both a rich mobile view and a desktop view, and it gives you the features that you can use. This is my favorite template to start with because it's got a lot of features I'm looking for. And again, we'll go through the various templates in future sessions, but let's do what we need to do. Let's actually click on, we're going to choose this template. So come on, my mouse is asleep. There you go. Choose the template. And then the first thing it's going to ask you is to enter a name. So I just type my first Power Pages, and then you go through this animation. I could sit here and watch this animation for hours and hours, but thankfully, unlike the experience you used to have when you built your first Power Apps portals, Power Pages will actually provision a lot faster here. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to fast forward this. Then you get to this cool thing, which is getting the site ready again. Come on, Pages. That's right. That's right. David, are you streaming some Netflix while we're presenting? All right. So once you get there, you actually get this welcome to the design studio. And this design studio is really a lot richer than what we used to have, right? We always used to have a preview of the pages, but now you'll see that you'll be able to actually go into the pages and add content quickly. If anyone's used the modern pages in SharePoint, you'll see that experience is very similar to that. And on future sessions, we'll actually dig deeper into each one of them. Let's move around here to the next section. The next section is the page's content itself. We're actually able to edit the content, and again, we'll add later because there's only so much we can cover in one session. We also have the styling ability, and again, in Power Apps portals, you used to be able to change the styles, but it was very limited. Here, you can actually edit the color palette to make it look and feel the way you want to. And then again, but wait, if you order now, I'll also show later how we can actually go in and really completely customize it to really fit your corporate identity. And then my favorite part, again, I keep on saying that, but it's really the power of Power Pages, is that I can actually go connect to my model-driven applications behind the scene, my data, right, my tables, and I can actually connect to that. And the out-of-the-box template that I just created starts with a table called feedback. Future sessions, I'll show you how we can design data for our applications and expose that data in a secure way to our pages. And then finally, come on. There you go. Finally, within the pages itself, every page, we always have the ability to do a preview. And you always had the ability to do previews with Power Apps portals, but this is a whole different experience, because if you've ever tried to test your Power Apps portal from a mobile device, it was kind of, you had to retype the whole URL, and I'm not very good at typing on a mobile device, so I always got the wrong URL. Now you actually have the ability to preview for the desktop right here, or from a mobile device by scanning the QR code. In fact, if any of you are fast enough, you could actually scan the QR code right now, and you would actually get my live demo that I'm showing you right now. All right, so we're going to wrap this here because, again, well, actually, no, let me just click on preview to leave you on a happy note here. We're going to do a little preview of the site that I just built. And this is the exact same site that you would have built if you had followed my steps. And see, so it's kind of a rich site here where lots of opportunities to put some content. And then if we click around a little bit more, let's just go to, I have the ability to actually use my contact form and fill in my details and submit. And when I submit this is actually going to save in my Dataverse data. And it's not using some, secret, magic here. It's actually using a very secure way to do this. All right, so let's wrap this up. Let me go back to the Get Started slide. If you want to get started with Power Pages, you can sign up for a free trial today. And don't worry if you do something that you're like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe I built this in so quickly, and it's actually rich data and it looks good. I don't want to throw that away. I don't want to lose it. You can convert your trial to a real production system.
Excellent. Thank you, Hugo, for that. And friends, this is really just a brief introduction. I know it may have felt like you're drinking from a fire hose. Wow, there's a lot to do here. Don't worry, it's going to be a regular series here where Hugo's going to walk us through how to take advantage of all the amazing features of Power Pages. And don't forget, we're working on a two-part sharing is caring session for Power Pages where we're going to walk you through how to do this together. We're going to learn together. We're going to accomplish together. So don't hesitate to look out for those dates. We're going to have them posted here this week. It's going to be a two-part, and we're really, really excited. We're going to learn together. It's going to be something we're going to accomplish all together. So don't hesitate to look for that.
Can we ask a quick question on the pages then, really quick?
Yeah, let's do some Q&A on pages. So Ralph, go ahead, and then I see some other hands up, so we can.
Yes, just want to get it kicked off for folks. So that trial for Power Pages, because before Power Portals used to be part of apps. So if you got an app trial, technically speaking, Portals was part of that. The app per user, app whatever, how many users you can do. So does that actually give you an environment? So that means under the covers, you do Dataverse, you can do everything else?
Yeah.
Or is that something different? Okay, so that's very, very important. So folks, that if you're doing environment management and that environment suddenly shows up, do not be mad because you asked for it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That's a very good point.
Let me
Christine has
Christine? Yep, we've got some others in the regular attendees. Christine, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, David. Hugo, are there any plans for Portals to support a higher version of Bootstrap at all? I think it's 3.6 right now. I know you probably get that all the time.
I'm not sure about the plans, but that's definitely one of the sessions I'm planning on doing is how to, you have a lot of power with Power Pages. Again, I wouldn't recommend for a maker to go in and try to change the version of Bootstrap, but absolutely, if you're a pro dev and you want to change the version of Bootstrap, one of the sessions in the future, I'll show you how to do that as well.
Brilliant. Awesome.
Thank you for asking the question.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks. So we got some hands up. Matt, would you like to go ahead and ask your question?
Hi. A question related to Dataverse, actually. So we are just trying to introduce Dataverse to our environment. And we have actually all our data residing in the SQL Server on-prem. So what is the best practice would be to bring some kind of data and to the Dataverse?
How much time do we have? There's a few things that you can do. The two probably important concepts that I don't think people are familiar with. One is the concept of data flows, and data flows allows you. It's kind of like, it's not to be confused with Flow or Power Automate. It's actually a different component that's in Dataverse itself that allows you to create a scheduled process that will go and get the data, do the transformation. You can even aggregate sources and bring it into Dataverse. But that's really only useful if you're planning on kind of creating a copy of that data that will reside in Dataverse itself. And there's lots of valid reasons why you might want to do that, because we want to make sure that we're not confusing transactional systems with like analysis systems, right? And trying to use them both for the same purpose. But the other thing that a lot of people may not be familiar with is you may say, hey, I've got some data that doesn't exist in SQL Server. I got data that I need my makers, my users to be able to use, but I've got some other data that resides in SQL Server, and it needs to live there forever because I've got all sorts of other systems that are consuming that. And this is where, to Ralph's point, you can use something called virtual tables. And virtual tables, if I could say it properly, allows you to actually connect your Dataverse tables to an actual record in SQL Server. And you're not duplicating the data. You're not even syncing the data. You're actually creating pointers back to SQL Server itself. There's all sorts of other mechanisms to migrate the data, but those are the two that I think that people are not familiar with enough to my liking, but there's definitely other approaches. So hopefully that gives you some ideas.
No, that's really helpful. Makes sense. And data flows are the same data flows that we have in the Power BI service?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same transformation formulas and everything. Yeah, it's the same process.
Great. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Excellent. We have time for probably just one more question. Robert, I believe you had your hand up next. Would you like to ask your question?
Yes. With Express Design, which is in preview mode for Power Apps Canvas apps, will it make any kind of a transition into Power Pages? Is that on the horizon?
I don't know of any horizon for that, but that's actually one of the code samples I was going to do is a converter from PDF to Power Pages, because that's something I did for a client that had lots of PDF forms. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. We can talk about it. But as soon as I find out more about what the plans are, we'll let you know.